If you're from the Philippines, you shouldn't be worried later, you should be worried now. Not next year. Not tomorrow. Now. Because 10 provinces are on the brink of collapse. Some are being swallowed by the sea. Others are crumbling under economic ruin, environmental devastation, or violence that never really ended. And for millions of Filipinos, this isn't just a news story. It's their hometown. It could be yours. Picture waking up to flooded rice fields, shuttered markets, disappearing forests, and roads that lead to nowhere. Picture your children with no school, no food security, no safe place to run. Not because of war, but because everything quietly, systematically fell apart. This isn't doomsday fiction. This is happening. Number 10. Sulu. Let's be real, you've seen the tourism ads. Pristine beaches. Crystal waters. Smiling locals holding fish like it's a Disney movie. But you and I both know something's off. Behind those postcard-perfect shots? A province that feels more like a beautiful hostage than a destination. Sulu isn't just struggling, it's silently screaming, and nobody's listening because the world's too busy scrolling. You feel it, don't you? That low-grade unease every time someone says, Sulu has potential. Yeah, and so does your cousin who's been trying to find himself since 2009. Let's stop romanticizing survival. Here's the part that stings. Sulu is drowning, literally, metaphorically, and politically. Coral reefs, once bursting with life, are now sun-bleached tombstones. Fish populations? Gone fishing, permanently. And when your marine biodiversity starts packing up like it's quitting a toxic job, you know the ecosystem is waving the white flag. But wait, it gets worse. While nature bleeds out, the human chaos never really left. Piracy still slinks in the shadows like that ex who won't stop texting at 2 a.m. And the peace deals that make headlines? Yeah, those are like putting duct tape on a sinking boat and calling it a yacht. Here's a stat to choke on with your morning coffee. Over 60% of coral coverage in the Sulu Sea has been lost in the last few decades. That's not erosion, that's ecological suicide. But sure, let's keep calling it climate stress, like it's just having a bad week. Now, let's talk economy, or what's left of it. When your richest resource is the fish, and the fish are ghosting you, you've got a problem. It's like owning a Ferrari and not being able to afford gas. Looks good on paper, but you're still not going anywhere. Locals are left with two options, leave or fight for scraps. And neither comes with dental. Still think collapse is a someday problem? No. Collapse is a Tuesday in Sulu. It's not a cliff people are approaching. It's a ledge they're already clinging to by their fingernails. And the worst part? No one's offering a hand. They're too busy designing next year's ecotourism for Peace Billboard. You ever wonder why nobody talks about rebuilding Sulu? Because deep down, we all know the truth. Rebuilding requires more than slogans and grant money. It requires facing the monsters we buried. The corruption we tolerated. The neglect we normalized. But here's the curiosity loop you didn't expect. What if Sulu isn't broken? What if it's just honest? What if it's showing us exactly what happens when the environment, the economy, and peace talks are all held together with wishful thinking and rusty nails? Because while the rest of us are pretending things are not that bad, Sulu is holding up a mirror and saying, this is you. Just with less Wi-Fi. And damn, that might be the most honest thing we've seen in years. So before you scroll past this like it's just another sad story, ask yourself, how long before your paradise starts whispering the same warnings? TikTok. Number 9. Leyte. You know what's weird? Leyte only seems to matter to the country when it's in ruins. Typhoon Haiyan? Suddenly, everyone's crying on camera. But flash forward a decade, and it's crickets. Just rising seas, vanishing farms, and another province quietly circling the drain. We love to call Leyte resilient. That feel-good word we throw around so we don't have to feel guilty. As if resilience is a compliment, not a coping mechanism. But here's what nobody posts on Instagram. Since Haiyan, sea levels here have been rising twice as fast as the global average. And no, that's not dramatic. That's geological betrayal in slow motion. Imagine trying to rebuild your life while the ocean keeps showing up like a toxic ex that just won't leave. And then there's farming, or what's left of it. You can't grow rice when your soil's salty, your water's confused, and the climate's throwing tantrums like a toddler with a Red Bull addiction. Entire communities depend on agriculture that's now about as reliable as a 3G signal in the mountains. Meanwhile, urban sprawl keeps pushing forward like we're not actively losing land. Roads to nowhere, half-finished housing, concrete where there used to be coconut trees. It's like watching someone rearrange deck chairs on a sinking ship, and then charge rent for it. You ever notice we always rebuild Leyte, but never reinvent it? We patch roofs, repaint walls, but never ask why the whole damn house keeps falling apart. Maybe because deep down, we know the truth. It was built that way. Cheap. Fragile. Disposable. Leyte is like an old radio playing through the static. You know there's something valuable in there, but no one's willing to fix the antenna. They'd rather change the station. And now for the real question. The one that should keep people up at night but won't. So tell me, are we failing Leyte? Or is this just what failure looks like when nobody with power is watching? Because the storms will keep coming. The seas will keep rising. And Leyte? It's still here. Still cracking. Still trying. But hope doesn't float when the world keeps letting you sink. Number 8. Maguindanao del Norte. You ever clean your house by shoving all the mess into a closet, slamming the door, and calling it done? Welcome to Maguindanao del Norte, the result of political spring cleaning with no mop and no plan. Let's not pretend. This isn't a new beginning. It's a rebranding, the kind failed YouTubers do when views dry up. Split the province, slap on a fresh title, and expect magic. But guess what? You can't divide dysfunction and expect two functioning halves. You just get double the problems and half the solutions. Clan wars still roam like it's the Middle Ages with smartphones. Governance? Let's just say most folks trust their neighborhood sorry store auntie more than anyone in a barong. And who can blame them? Promises here age like milk, quick to spoil, and the stink lingers. Here's the part nobody says out loud. When agriculture collapses in a place like this, it's not just about empty stomachs, it's about the death of identity. Maguindanao del Norte isn't full of failed farmers, it's full of people failed by the system. And still, we have the nerve to ask why there's unrest? Now for the reality snack. Did you know that 70% of this province depends on farming and fishing, yet less than 10% of agricultural land has stable irrigation? That's not just neglect. That's planned abandonment dressed up as budget constraints. Let's make this simple. Maguindanao del Norte is like a house with no foundation, but we keep repainting the walls. Political theatrics are the wallpaper, corruption is the termite infestation, and the floor? Already caving in. You ever wonder why people in unstable places cling to strongmen? Because when institutions are made of paper, at least fear feels like structure. It's not right, it's just the devil they know. And yet, we keep wondering why democracy doesn't work here like it does in textbooks. Spoiler alert, textbooks don't bleed. And the punchline? Development funds do exist. They just rarely land where they're supposed to. Like a bad group chat, the money goes silent when you need it most. Roads get paved, halfway. Schools get built, but not staffed. Livelihood programs get announced, then forgotten like last year's election posters. So here's your uncomfortable question of the day. If the province was born from failure, raised in neglect, and fed with lies, what exactly are we expecting it to grow into? A miracle? A phoenix from ashes? No. We're watching the slow-motion collapse of a place we never really helped stand up in the first place. But hey, maybe another name change will fix it. Number 7. Pampanga. Let me tell you about Mang Elmer. He's been selling sisig in San Fernando for over 25 years, the kind of street legend who knows your order before you do. Rain or shine, his stall lights up the corner like a beacon for hungry souls. But last July, one heavy downpour, and he lost everything. His cart drowned. His home flooded waist deep in brown water. He called it a mini Yolanda. You know what the barangay called it? Seasonal inconvenience. Pampanga is sinking, literally, and we're still building malls like we're in Dubai. Here's a brutal fact. Pampanga sinks about 5 to 6 centimeters per year, faster than Venice, faster than Jakarta. Over-extraction of groundwater is draining the province like a giant soda bottle with a hole in the bottom. And the scary part? Most people don't even know they're standing on borrowed time. You think you're moving to Angela City for cheap real estate and the good life. But what you're buying might just be a front row seat to the next Waterworld reboot. Flooding isn't the future, it's the present. And no, those shiny new condos won't float. So yeah, go ahead and admire the growth. The call centers, the restaurants, the expressways. But prosperity without planning? It's just a ticking time bomb in a Gucci belt. Now real quick, smash that like button if you're from Pampanga or know someone who is. This isn't just about a province. This is about all of us building on soft soil and calling it success. Curious question though. Why do we treat progress like a buffet? Just pile it on until the table breaks, then act surprised? We keep digging deeper to meet demand, but every drop of groundwater pulled is one step closer to the province's collapse. And when that day comes, no Instagrammable food festival will fix it. We're just getting started. Because up next, we're heading somewhere even more surprising, a place everyone thought was untouchable, but is quietly on the edge of collapse. You'll want to stick around for this one. So drop a comment below. Do you live in Pampanga? Ever experienced the floods getting worse? Let's hear your story. Because this isn't just news, this is a conversation we should have had years ago. And Mang Elmer? He's rebuilding, but he says the ground feels different now. Less solid. More like, warning signs we're still ignoring. Number 6. Batons. You ever notice how the most beautiful places always get romanticized? Right until they fall apart? Batons, yeah, the postcard perfect island with rolling hills and stone houses, is sinking. Literally. But sure, let's keep posting drone shots like it's a fairy tale, while the ground underneath is disappearing faster than your paycheck on Shopee sale. Here's the inconvenient truth. Batons isn't some tranquil escape you brag about visiting once. It's a community. With real families. Real homes. Real stakes. And while you're sipping overpriced coffee, they're prepping for their 10th typhoon this year like it's just another Tuesday. Because in Batons, surviving the storm isn't news, it's muscle memory. And get this, with climate change accelerating and sea levels creeping in like unpaid debt collectors, parts of Batons may vanish within our lifetime. Not in theory. Not in simulation. In reality. In inches. Every single year. But hey, go ahead and worry more about your cracked iPhone screen. Now here's the part where it stings. Rescue operations take longer than your favorite K-drama plot twists. When a disaster hits, isolation isn't poetic, it's deadly. Boats can't dock. Signals vanish. Aid is delayed. And people? They wait. Not because they're okay, but because they have no choice. Meanwhile, you complain when your food delivery takes more than 25 minutes. Hey, quick real talk. Our stats show most of you are watching, nodding, maybe even feeling this, but not subscribing. Let's fix that. If you're here, you are part of this. Don't just scroll like a tourist. Hit that subscribe button and actually join the conversation. Be part of the real ones who give a damn. Thanks. Alright, now let's finish this. Back to Batons. The scariest part? They're not the loud ones. No hashtags. No outrage. Just quiet strength. But when the strong start slipping, what does that say about the rest of us? Batons is the canary in the coal mine. If it goes under, it won't be alone. It'll just be the first. So maybe it's time we stop acting like resilience is infinite. Because even the toughest cliffs crumble. Even the strongest traditions drown. Before we glamorize the silence of Batons, maybe we should finally listen to it. And next, we're heading to a place that had every chance to soar, and still found a way to self-destruct. So don't go anywhere. The next one will make you question everything you thought you knew about progress. Number 5. Cameron Sur. Let's not sugarcoat it. Cameron Sur used to be the golden child. The backpacker's secret. The ecotourism darling that somehow pulled off both rustic and relevant. CWC was hot, nature was alive, and locals felt like they were finally in on the win. But here's the twist nobody wants to admit. Success went to its head. It stopped being the humble beauty and turned into that influencer friend who talks about healing energy while throwing trash out their van window. Cam Sur got greedy. Not for money, but for attention. Full scale. And in that thirst to go viral, it started bulldozing the very thing people came for. You ever seen someone wear their reputation like a Halloween costume? That's Cam Sur. Still calls itself eco, while it quietly drowns in its own runoff. Here's your punch to the gut. Over 60% of its forest cover has vanished since 2003. Not reduced. Vanished. Like the promise of sustainable tourism, after the first investor meeting. And while developers are sipping cocktails in their beachside condos, the land is literally begging for help. Coastal flooding. Soil erosion. Wildlife fleeing like it knows what's coming before we do. But it's okay, right? Just slap a green label on your Facebook post and call it progress. You ever notice how the provinces screaming the loudest about eco-awareness are usually the ones quietly choking their rivers to death? Let that sit. We treat provinces like coffee shops, cool until they're overrun, then we just move on to the next hidden gem to ruin. Cam Sur is not a tourist trap. It's an ecosystem, one that's been exploited like a sugar daddy on Valentine's Day. And if you think climate change is still down the road, Cam Sur's already on the front porch. Sea levels aren't threatening, they're trespassing. Now, quick side note before we keep going. We crunched the numbers, and turns out, most of you are watching without hitting that like button. What's the deal? If you're still here, it means this hit somewhere deep. So stop being shy and smash that like button like you're swatting a mosquito in a power outage. Do it for the truth. Or for Cam Sur. Either works. Okay, back in. The saddest part? It didn't have to be this way. Cameron Sir had the blueprint. It had the balance. It had the brains. But the moment it got a taste of popularity, it forgot who it was, and traded wisdom for Wi-Fi. And when this paradise collapses, the only thing left will be drone shots of what used to be. Stick around. What's coming next will make you question how far we're willing to fall, just to say we made it. Number 4. Palawan. Let me take you back to the first time you saw Palawan. Not in person, on a screen. Turquoise waters so clear, they looked photoshopped. Jagged limestone cliffs rising like guardians of some untouched Eden. You didn't just want to visit, you wanted to escape there forever. And for a while, it felt like you could. But paradise isn't bulletproof. And Palawan? It's been bleeding behind the filters for years. Mass tourism rolled in like a wave, and didn't roll back. Hotels ate up the coastlines. Boats carved the reefs. Trash piled up like broken promises. And no one stopped it. Not the tourists. Not the locals. Not the government. Why? Because success is addictive. And Palawan became a victim of its own beauty. Now here's your gut punch. Over 50% of coral reefs in Palawan are already dead. Not dying, dead. Gone. Bleached white, like bones beneath a glittering sea. Let that sink in. The last frontier? It's choking on plastic. It's drowning in silence. And the saddest part? No one talks about it. But maybe we should. Because Palawan is more than a place. It's a promise. A promise that this country could get something right. That we could preserve wonder. That we could hold on to something pure without destroying it. And we're breaking that promise. Every single day. You ever love something so much it hurts? That's Palawan right now, loving us back while we slowly kill it. Now pause. Look around. From our stats, we've got more viewers than subscribers, which means you're watching, you're listening. But you're not helping this voice get louder. So smash that like button. Not for me, for the places that can't speak for themselves. Here's what they won't tell you in travel brochures. The real danger isn't losing Palawan. The real danger is losing our capacity to care. Because if this place can fall, the crown jewel, the paradise of all paradises, then nothing's safe. Not Boracay. Not Siargao. Not even the soul of what makes this country worth fighting for. And when the waters rise and the cliffs crumble and the reefs are just memories, what's left? Just silence. And the ghosts of everything we didn't protect when we had the chance. Stick around. Because if you think Palawan hurts, what's next will shake you. Number 3. Agusan del Sur. Let me tell you about Rosalind, a mother of 4 from La Flora to Lacagon. Her family's life revolved around the Agusan River, relying on its bounty for sustenance. But after the floods of January 2024, the river turned hostile. Fish vanished their home, a floating house, was nearly submerged, and the local school was inundated up to its roof. Rosalind's husband, once a fisherman, now struggles to find any catch, and their children attend classes in evacuation centers. This isn't an isolated incident. In Veruela, 12 out of 20 villages were submerged due to relentless rainfall, displacing over 3,200 families. The Agusan River, once a lifeline, has become a source of destruction, overflowing and engulfing communities. But why is this happening? Illegal logging is rampant. In 2023 alone, over 17,775 board feet of illegally cut logs were seized in Agusan del Sur. Deforestation has stripped the land of its natural defenses, leading to soil erosion and increased flooding. Mining operations exacerbate the problem. Companies like Philsaga Mining Corporation have been accused of encroaching on ancestral lands of the Manobo tribe, leading to displacement and loss of livelihoods. The Banwayan community in San Luis faced similar threats, with over 900 individuals evacuating due to mining interests. The consequences are dire. The Agusan Marsh, a critical catchment area, is overwhelmed. Floodwaters from higher areas, especially the Magdawata mountain range, cascade into the marsh, leading to prolonged flooding in downstream communities. Governor Santiago Cain Jr. emphasized the need to dredge the Agusan River to mitigate flooding, noting that 53% of the province's population has been affected. So what can we do? Awareness is the first step. Understanding the interconnectedness of illegal logging, mining, and flooding is crucial. Supporting sustainable practices and holding companies accountable can lead to change. If this resonates with you, show your support. Smash that like button to amplify this message. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Let's create a platform for dialogue and action. Stay tuned. In our next segment, we'll delve into another region facing environmental challenges, exploring the causes and potential solutions. Number 2. Zambales. You ever meet someone who keeps poking a wound just to check if it still hurts? That's Zambales right now, only instead of a band-aid, they got a bulldozer, and instead of checking, they're digging. And digging. And digging. Let's be real. Zambales didn't just get exploited. It got mugged, stripped down, and left in the rain. Mining companies rolled in like sugar daddies promising luxury, jobs, economic growth. And left the place with poisoned rivers, bald hills, and a fishing industry on life support. You remember those lush green hills from your grandparents' stories? Gone. Now they look like a toddler chewed through them with a plastic spoon. And those productive lands? They're now chemically burnt wastelands. The soil is so toxic it probably sets off a Geiger counter when you plant a tomato. Let's talk about the fishing communities, because oh yes, they exist or did. Back in Masinloc and Sta. Cruz, people lived off the sea. That was their savings account, their lunchbox, their legacy. Now, fish are floating belly up. Fishermen are catching more heavy metals than tilapia. The water? It's a soup of sorrow with a side of skin rash. And the best part? Nobody's really answering for it. You got families dealing with respiratory illnesses, contaminated wells, and mysterious skin conditions. Yeah, mysterious, like how 2 + 2 = 4, but somehow corporate apologies still equal zero accountability. Don't even get me started on the landslides. You'd think nature would get tired of punishing a province already bruised to the bone. But no, every typhoon season, hills come tumbling down like a toddler kicking over his own Lego house. The only difference is, this Lego house crushes homes, schools, and sometimes people. Here's the kicker. People knew this was coming. Experts warned about it, communities protested, petitions were signed, and guess what? Big money don't read. Big money don't care. Big money only listens when they start choking on profit margins. But hey, don't just take my word for it. Ask someone from Zambales if they still trust the land beneath their feet. Ask them what it's like to fish in a graveyard. Ask them how it feels to live where everything beautiful got sold for scrap. Now smash that like button if you're tired of watching places die just because someone wanted a bigger yacht. And stick around, because the next province? Oh, it'll make you question everything you thought you knew about development. Number 1. Northern Samar. You know what's worse than being destroyed? Being ignored. Northern Samar isn't headline news, it's the blank space where headlines should be. No oil spills, no rebel shootouts, no billionaire tycoons fencing off the beaches. Just nothing. That's what makes this hit different. It didn't collapse with a roar. It disappeared with a shrug. And if you're thinking, well, that's life in the province, congratulations. You've just repeated the same line people use to excuse decay. But ask anyone from Catarman to Las Navas, and they'll tell you, life here isn't rural, it's abandoned. This isn't slow progress. This is a slow goodbye. Fact, more than 37% of residents live below the poverty line. Not just broke, forgotten. Add to that the endless typhoons, the lack of infrastructure, and an economy built on prayers and pasalyabongs from relatives abroad, and you've got a province hanging by a thread that no one's holding. Picture this, Lolo Andres, 76, once a fisherman. Now, just watches the waves swallow what's left of his broken boat. His sons? Gone. One in Dubai, one in Pasig. His grandkids? Only see Northern Samar on a map, the kind you zoom out from. Meanwhile, floods eat farmland, roads disappear under rainwater, and schools double as evacuation centers more than they do learning spaces. But no one's outraged. Why? Because nobody's looking. When collapse is quiet, nobody rushes to fix it. And hey, while you're here, real talk, are you subscribed yet? If not, you know what to do. Don't just lurk. Be part of this ride. We tell the stories no one else wants to. Back to it. Here's what stings. The young aren't fighting to stay, they're racing to leave. Because here, staying isn't loyalty. It's surrender. So let's ask the brutal question. What happens to a place where the only exports are its people? Northern Samar isn't empty because it failed. It's empty because it was left to fail. While Manila plays traffic Tetris and Cebu gentrifies its way to Instagram fame, this province quietly fades. Not with chaos, but consent. And if you think this was chilling, wait till we get to the next spot, where tourists trample coral like confetti, and the paradise slogan has become a full-blown lie. Buckle up. Things are about to get louder.